Good morning, CrossFit Linchpin. Today is January 9th, 2020. Hope everybody's day is off to a great start. Short video today. Hopefully a topic that's fun, a little bit entertaining, but at the same time has a decent message to it and is true. These are true stories. So I'm going to talk about the 3 types of questions that people can ask. Sure, there might be more, but these are the 3 ones that we used to receive all the time during level 1 seminars. So, part of my role in CrossFit was for 4 or 5 years. I did the level 1 seminars, was a flow master there. So every weekend I was in a different city or country all around the world, lecturing about our methodology, correcting people's movement, and just, helping spread the word, helping people get fit, all that good stuff. So it's interesting, though, when you have a live audience, you've got 50 people sitting there from all walks of life, from whatever it happens to be, and you're presenting material to them. In general, we could receive 3 different types of questions from the audience. The first type of question was not a question at all. It was a statement. So somebody, would be lecturing or doing whatever and say, hey, any questions? And somebody would raise their hand and would be like, yes, sir, what can we do for you? And they would say something, and there was no question asked in any way, shape, or form. A statement was made. Now look, we got pretty darn good at reading people weekend after weekend, dealing with live audiences. You get kind of a degree in psychology as well. And there was an amazing correlation between the person who would say that they have a question, wouldn't ask a question, they would make a statement. That person who made the statement usually was somebody that, when you saw from the registration, was a very well-credentialed individual. They'd been in some sort of industry for 10, 15, 20 years. They had some fancy letters and certifications at the end of their name, and they would make this statement that was full of wonderfully big anatomy and physiology or exercise science words. And the general feeling was they very much wanted everyone in the audience to know that they were not your average bear, that they were smart, and it was very important that everyone in the audience knew that they were smart. We used to deal with that all the time, and you'd politely listen and just say, thank you so much for adding that. That was wonderful. And then you'd move on with everybody else. And that, of course, I'm sure is linked to whatever you want to say, ego, insecurity, blah, 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 blah. The second type, so that's the first question. The first type of question is not a question, it's a statement. The second type of question that we'd receive regularly, it was a question, but hidden in the question was basically somebody looking for affirmation or a confirmation that whatever that they were doing was okay. That was the gut feeling. They're asking this question as if it's a general question, like, I heard that some people eat this particular way and it works really well. What do you guys think about that? Or, I heard that if you do this with, the back squat, some people do that and it seems to work well for them, just something that I've heard. And what do you guys think about that? And the general feeling was that, this was something that individual happened to be doing, and they were looking for, a group of subject matter experts to say, yes, that makes sense, you're on the right track, so on and so forth. And that's, and that's just, it is what it is. Those were good questions, entertaining questions, all that good stuff. And then, instead of just coming right out and saying, hey, I'm doing this, do you think it's a good idea? Or I'm eating this way, do you think it's a good idea? And then the third type of question that we would get is just the honest question. That was the unicorn in the room, of just an honest, vulnerable, I'm being an open book, I'm not sure about this, hey, all this stuff is new to me, I'm a bit confused, could you help me understand this? That didn't make any sense. Could you help me clarify this? Could you explain that a different way? The honest question. And the honest question was always fantastic to receive, and was clearly the favorite among the instructors as well, because that individual was, putting themselves out there and really wanted to learn and all that good stuff. So it was interesting just seeing this weekend after weekend, year after year, and there was no way to observe that, at least for myself anyway, and not take an honest assessment of myself and be like, I know that I've been guilty of all three of those. Without a doubt. I've been guilty of being in some group or some room or part of some discussion, and ego and insecurity got the best of me. I'm human. And I, acted like I had a question, but basically made a statement because I wanted to peacock a little bit and let everyone else in the room know that, whatever, I knew stuff too, or I blah, blah, blah. So I've certainly been guilty of that. But seeing that helped me become more aware of it and made me think to myself, like, ooh, I need to be cautious of that because I don't want to come off like that. I don't want to present myself like that. That's not how I want to roll. And we've all obviously also done the question where you act like you're asking a general question, but you're really camouflaging your own behavior in the question. You're looking for validation of what you're currently doing. Whereas, you might as well just ask what you're doing. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Is it okay? And then, it just, of course, made me realize that the best thing in the world is just that honest question. So and if it's an honest question, everyone in the room can tell that it's an honest question, and it's always well received. It always puts everyone at ease, and it's always answered with truth and authenticity, and it makes everybody better, So that's good. And I will say that first question, right, that wasn't a question, it was the statement, from ego or insecurity of everyone, of wanting to let everyone else in the room know that, I know big words and I have a library full of books and smells of rich mahogany and all that good stuff. That generally, as I said, was from somebody, when you check their registration list, was very well credentialed, XYZ, all the letters after their name, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't always go that way. There was plenty of times where we'd meet a certain individual beforehand, get talking to them, realize that they were this very well-credentialed individual, and in the back of my mind I'd be like, this is probably based historically on what I see every weekend, the evidence has shown me. I tend to believe this is going to be one of those individuals that, gets a little insecure and has to pipe up several times during the lecture just to chime in. And every now and then that would happen, but the opposite was also true. I was lucky enough to meet tons of incredibly sharp, well-credentialed, accomplished individuals that were just humble, cool, sponges of knowledge, and just sat there, and everything that they did was additive to the seminar, and they were a pleasure to be around. And that was, again, how I'd want to model my behavior, because those people that did on occasion chime up with the statements, the questions that were actually statements, there's a difference between, a lot of them wanted everyone to know they were smart, right? Well, there's a difference, in my opinion, between being book smart, very academic, and then being wise. And the people that would chime up in a way that was just clearly peacocking and they wanted to brag a little bit, they were probably very book smart and very academic, but also insecure. And the people who had could have that same amount of knowledge or that same amount of time in academia or whatever it happened to be, but were comfortable in their own skin, they just kind of came off as wise. So I would say there's a difference between being book smart and being wise. And the people who came through who were wise were always a pleasure. And there was a wonderful amount of learning that went back and forth between both of them. So again, I just kind of think about this every now and then when I'm asking a question or interacting with people and somebody asks a question, you're trying to figure out where does that question come from and, what's behind it and whatnot. So anyway, the goal is to ask honest questions. If you put yourself in an environment of learning, realize that no matter how much you know, no matter how many books you've read, no matter how many seminars or courses that you've attended, if you allow yourself to be open to learning, you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you allow yourself to let your guard down and not feel some societal pressure to let everyone in the room know how strong you are, how smart you are, how whatever you are, that you just take it in, there's a really good chance that you will walk away from that course, that seminar, that lecture, that whatever, better for the experience. And if during that lecture or interaction or whatnot, something is truly confusing or whatever it happens to be, you always have the opportunity to ask the honest question, and the honest question will always be wonderfully received, in my experience anyway. So that's that. Have a great day. I'm going to keep sipping my coffee and enjoy the rest day.